Let me begin by presenting the first issue identified in the ESP Audit Committee Charter, which is the absence of continuous professional development or CPD requirement for the audit committee members. So, upon reviewing the charter, we found that it doesn't mention any expectation for members to maintain or enhance their knowledge after being appointed. So, this omission goes against the best practices as outlined according to the Malaysian Code of Corporate Governance or MCCG 2021, Practice 9.8, it states that all members of the audit committee should undertake continuous professional development to keep themselves abreast of relevant developments in accounting and auditing standards, practices and rules. Furthermore, under paragraph 15.8 of Bursa Malaysia listing requirement, it clearly stated that director must receive appropriate training to carry out their duty effectively. Therefore, since audit committee members are also directors, this requirement directly applies to them. Without a CPD clause in the charter, members may eventually lack the technical competence needed to understand evolving financial reporting standards, keep pace with changes in audit practices, and respond effectively to updates in governance regulations. This knowledge gap may ultimately reduce the committee's ability to provide effective oversight, challenge management decisions, and support the internal audit function.
To address issue 1, a mandatory CPD policy should be established in the Audit Committee Charter. It is recommended to add a dedicated clause in the Charter stating the Audit Committee is required to participate in regular training to stay up to date with best practice and keep pace with changes in regulation, financial reporting and governance as part of a mandatory continuous professional development policy. All committee members must complete a minimum of 20 hours of CDP activities, and the audit committee chairman is required to complete an extra 10 hours. Participation in workshops, seminars, or professional development programs related committee's role shall all count toward these hours. This added clause will benefit the audit committee by enhancing their overall performance. It will enhance decision-making quality, ensuring that members are informed and make well-considered decisions based on up-to-date knowledge rather than acting without proper understanding. This continuous learning prevents outdated practice and supports sound judgment. Additionally, it encourages professionalism by upholding high standards of integrity and accountability. Lastly, it helps reduce the risk of failure, as trained committee members will be better equipped to identify potential risks early and take prompt action to mitigate them.
Next, I will continue with the second issue. So another issue identified in the ESP Audit Committee Charter is the limitation on the authority of the Audit Committee to retain outside experts, which is explicitly stated as being subject to the approval of the board. This has been stated by Charter in the authority section, which is the committee with the approval of the board is empowered to retain outside counsel or persons having a special competence as necessary to assist the committee in fulfilling its responsibility. This clearly shows that the committee cannot act autonomously in engaging external expertise. As for justification, this issue is critical as this clause restricts both the independence and timeliness of the committee to respond promptly to critical matters. According to internal audit best practices outlined in the International Professional Practices Framework and endorsed by the Institute of Internal Auditors, audit committees should be empowered to act independently and without unnecessary delay, particularly in situations involving financial misconduct, fraud, or urgent compliance matters. It is because requiring prior board approval may result in avoidable delays and impair the committee's oversight role. Furthermore, If the board itself is implicated in the issue under review, this requirement presents a clear conflict of interest that can compromise the integrity of the investigation. This clause also deviates from internationally recognized governance standards, such as those recommended by the OECD and the NYSE, which advocate for unrestricted access to external expertise to uphold transparency and accountability.
To solve this issue, we recommend to amend the Charter to allow the Audit Committee to hire experts freely. The new clause should be the Audit Committee shall have the authority, without prior approval from the board, to retain independent legal, accounting or other advisors as it deems necessary to carry out its responsibility. The committee shall inform the board of such actions as appropriate. The effect from this change are: first, it allows the audit committee to act quickly. Time is critical in urgent situations like fraud investigations, legal review, or cybersecurity breaches. Giving the audit committee direct authority to hire outside experts means they can get the help they need immediately without waiting for board approval. This helps the organization respond faster, minimize damage, and take control of the situation early. Second, it strengthens the committee's independence. Independence is essential for an audit committee to perform its oversight role effectively. If they have to seek permission from the board, especially when the issue might involve board members or senior management, it can create a conflict of interest. Therefore, allowing them to make their decision on their own shows trust in their judgment and supports fairness and objective reviews. Third, it leads to stronger risk control and oversight. Quicker access to qualified experts like legal advisors, forensic accountants, or IT consultants help the committee identify and manage risks more thoroughly. These risks may include financial errors, legal non-compliance, or operational weaknesses. With expert input, the committee can take better preventive action, which reduces the chances of regulatory penalties, reputational damage, or financial losses to the company.
Next, I will continue the presentation by addressing another key issue identified in the Internal Audit Charter, specifically the absence of a clearly defined functional reporting relationship between the Chief Audit Executive and also the Audit Committee. Currently, the Charter refers to the Audit Committee as a focal point for communication between the Board, CAE, External Auditor and also the Management. While it mentions that CAE must attend certain meetings and submit report, it lacks an explicit statement that defines a direct functional reporting line to the Audit Committee. This vagueness could result in ambiguity regarding the CAE authority and independence. Furthermore, the CAE access to meet the board as needed and the committee at least annually might be exposed to the management influence, as it will limit the timely and independent communication on the critical audit matters. According to the International Professional Practice Framework, IPPF, internal audit should functionally report to the audit committee. Without this clarity, there is a real risk of undue influence from the senior management, which in turn could undermine the audit objectivity and the organization's ability to address risk proactively. To resolve this issue, we propose to add a dedicated clause in the Charter that clearly states the CAE shall report functionally to the Audit Committee and administratively to the CEO. The Audit Committee shall be responsible for reviewing and approving the Internal Audit Charter, audit plan, resources, and also for evaluating the performance and independence of the CAE. The CAE shall have unrestricted access to the Audit Committee and may meet with it in a private session as needed without the management present. This addition is aligned with international best practice and could provide the necessary foundation for independent and effective internal audit operation. Benefits of the proposed clause. The first one is clarity reporting line. It could strengthen the independence of the CAE in the organization. The second one is unrestricted access. It could ensure a transparency through a private session without management. And the last one is operational balance. It could maintain administrative link to the CEO for day-to-day functioning. In conclusion, by making the CAE's functional reporting line to the Audit Committee explicit, we can reinforce internal audit role as an independent assurance provider. So that's all from us. Thank you.